What is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down 10 of the strongest champions for low elo right now that you should be looking to play if you want to climb out of low elo for the end of season 10. So we're going to start off in the top lane here for a couple picks, and the first one is going to be Urgot. So Urgot's kind of just been a very sleeper OP top laner for quite a while now. He got some changes a couple months ago, and with other top laners being changed, he's just quietly made his way up to being one of the strongest top laners throughout all elo brackets right now. He's especially good for the lower elos though, because he's very simple to execute. He's got a pretty strong laning phase. His mid game spike is insanely good. Once you get to Black Cleaver and Death Dance, you can start like 1v2ing with this champion. Your side lane threat is really good. Your team fight is pretty strong on the pick as well. Press the attack, insane keystone on him. You can just proc that super quickly. Makes your trading in the laning phase really strong. So Urgot is going to be the first top laner I'd recommend if you want to climb out of low elo for the end of season. And then for my second top lane pick, it's going to be Garen. So you can play this champion right now in either the top lane or the mid lane. So if you're somebody who queues top mid or queues mid top, then you can just have Garen as your go-to champion, your #1 champion to play for either role right now. And that's going to suit you really well for the end of season 10. Conquer is just such a great keystone on the champion. You stack that up extremely quickly on Garen, makes your 1v1 threat really good. And he's just such a consistent champion as well, because all of his damage is point and click. There's no messing up when you play Garen, and this just makes it so that if you get a lead in the early game, if you get a couple kills, your ability to snowball that lead is better than almost any other champion in the game, because if you just zone the enemy from the wave, if they move up a little bit too close, all you got to do, Q onto them, flash onto them if you need to, right? Just use your full combo, burst them out, and there's very little counterplay to Garen other than being able to kite him out if he does get ahead in the early game. All right, let's take a look at a couple jungle picks now. First one is going to be the Nunu. So Nunu's been such a great pick for almost every single elo throughout the entirety of season 10. It seems like this champion's always been an S tier jungler, and it's just because his ganks in the early game are better than most junglers in the game. They're just so strong. It's so difficult to, play against a Nunu because he can just spam gank in the early game. His ganks are so strong with his snowball, very difficult to dodge. If you don't have flash up and Nunu's ganking you, you're pretty much just guaranteed to die. And if you can, just use the spam gank playstyle on Nunu in the early game, get your lanes ahead, you start to control dragons. He's one of the best dragon controlling junglers in the game. So you just get dragons in the early game with this champion, get to that dragon soul win condition, and you can just have a really good time on this champion if you can just be very impactful throughout the early game. And then another really good early game ganking jungler who also scales nicely into the mid to late game like Nunu is the Rammus. So Rammus ganks so strong in the early game with his power ball, and if you take Ghost on the champion, which has actually started to become more meta on the pick as of recent, your ganks are even that much better. Like, it's very difficult to dodge out on a Rammus gank. You come in, from behind, Q onto them, taunt them, super easy to execute, allows you to get a ton of kills in the early game with the pick, and you can just build full tank on the champion as well. This champion is just so good, or even better for the lower elos, because you're going to see so many AD compositions, way more full AD compositions with people playing the Yasuo a ton, the Zed, the Yone. You're going to see a lot of Master Yi in the jungle, a lot of Lee Sin in the jungle, and if you can just pick Rammus into those compositions, you get to go for Thornmail, you can go for a Righteous Glory, grab Tabbies, just become extremely tanky, and because of your passive, you're still going to deal an insane amount of damage. So making our way over to the mid lane now, my first pick is Malphite. Now this might seem a little bit troll at first, but just hear me out on this one. The way the meta is right now in the lower elos, you see Zed with around like a 20% pick rate. You got Yasuo up there as well, 10 to 15% pick rate. Yone's being played a ton at above 10%. Akali's being played a ton as well. And Malphite just does so well into those champions. He beats like so many of the meta picks you see in the lower ranks right now because of his point and click damage. You go for like a Luden's Rush into Zhonya's if you're playing up against something like a Zed or a Yone, and once you get to the level 6, you just point and click all your damage onto Zed. He can't do anything against you, and it's especially good like up against Yasuo. There's like no counterplay really for Yasuo at all. You got just such easy to execute point to click damage with this champion, and once you hit the mid to late game as well, your team fight is insanely strong. So you not only do such a great job at shutting down meta picks, but you can also be extremely impactful by getting multi-man ultimates off. If you're full AP, you can just like burst the whole enemy team out if you find them grouped, and you get a nice ultimate off. And then my second mid pick right now is going to be Annie. So Annie is definitely the strongest mid pick that you can use right now to climb out of the lower ranks. She's gotten a lot of buffs in previous months here, and they've just made her an even better pick for the lower ranks. So there's just nothing better that you can play right now. If your main goal is to climb for the end of season 10 here, then I definitely have Annie in your champion pool for the mid lane. Just such a great pick, very easy to execute. You know, you're always going to be consistent on this champion, scales really nicely. Once you do get to the mid to late game, you should just be looking at control objectives, you know, sit in the fog of war, find picks with the champion. Her pick potential is insanely good. You have the ability to basically choose one target on the enemy team that doesn't get to play the game. So if you're going up against a meta pick, you know, like the Yasuo in the mid lane, you just point and click all your damage on him throughout the game. He's useless, he can't do anything, and it just makes Annie such a great pick. All right, down to the bot lane now. First AD carry pick is going to be the Misfortune. So Misfortune rarely misses a video like this, similar to the Annie. She's just way too good for the lower elos, and in this meta right now, she's arguably like one of the best picks for every single elo. The way the AD carry meta has been shifting as of recent patches, MF has risen back up in power, and she's a very good pick at the moment. So if you go for this very AD heavy build on the MF, the Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, all you got to do with the champion is hit that one good ultimate in a mid to late game fight, and you're going to succeed on this pick. The way the support meta is right now is also super good for MF. You got a lot of Leona being played, a lot of the Nautilus, the Blitz, the Thresh, and if you can just play Misfortune with one of those aggressive supports, you're going to find yourself coming out of the laning phase with a couple kills every single game. And then more of an unconventional bot lane pick right now, the Veigar in the bot lane as the AP carry with the Electrocute there is doing extremely well at the moment. And if you pair him up with an aggressive support, if you just play with him with a Leona or a Blitz or a Nautilus, then you just play for the level 6. Once you hit the level 6, if you hit a Leona ultimate, you know, it's guaranteed a free kill every single time. You just follow up, you know, with your cage, hit them with a Q auto and an ultimate. You got that Electrocute proc, you just deal a ton of damage. So the glacial setup is still completely viable on the Veigar, but if you are playing him with a very aggressive support and you can look to get a lot of kills in the early game, I definitely lean towards that Electrocute setup. The only downside to the champion really is that his first couple levels are a little bit weaker, so just make sure you are playing safer pre-6 on Veigar. Once you hit the level 6, you can just start to, you know, pick up a ton of free kills. So you just got to make sure you don't fall too far behind in the early game, and you're going to be set on this champion. And then lastly here, let's round things out by taking a look at my two support picks. So first up is going to be Swain. Swain is just such a great pick for the lower ranks for a couple different reasons. He's got really good pick potential in his kit with his E there. So in the laning phase, if you can just be hyper focused on when the enemy AD carry is going for last hits and throw your E out when they're in their auto attack animation, you're going to hit that every single time. And if your E hits consistently throughout the laning phase, you're going to pick up a ton of kills early on with Swain. It gets even better though once you hit level 6 on the champion, because if you have your ultimate available, there's no way you're losing the 2v2. It's very difficult for any bot lane to beat you in the 2v2 with your ultimate up. They're gonna need to like send 3 members down bot lane, but even then you want the enemy jungler to gank you, because with this champion you can actually turn 2v3s extremely easily on the pick, and he's gonna scale super well into the mid to late game too. Leandre's rush there into Zhonya's and then Rylai's. Once you get those core items on Swain, you basically become like another carry for your team, and it just makes him a great carry pick from the support role for the lower ranks. And then my 10th and final support pick to round things out is going to be Leona. So right now Leona is undoubtedly the strongest engaged support that you can play, or just hard engaged support. Level 2 all in, look to play for that every single game on the champion. She's got arguably the strongest level 2 all in for any support, and if you pair her up with a Misfortune, a Lucian, Tristana, you're going to find yourself getting a ton of early kills on the champion. Her snowball potential is also insanely good, especially once you hit the level 6. The long range pick she has with their ultimate means that if you see the enemy just slightly out of position, you know, if they move up a little bit too far, she has the ability to just pick them off, and it just makes her an even better pick for the lower ranks, because players are going to be out of position way more often. They're going to be split from their team or just, you know, overextending a little bit, and the Leona ultimate allows for you to find those picks and get advantages for your team really easily. Alright, so that is going to be all for the video, guys. Good luck with your climbs here for the end of Season 10. Let's hope the Riot gods are on your side and they give you no AFKs, no trolls in your games here heading up to the end of Season 10. So I definitely recommend you pick up one of these 10 champions in this video here. Look to spam them if your main goal is to hit that next rank for the end of Season 10. So that's going to be it, guys. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in my next video.